Okay, so some lot of people are also saying true. Okay, great. Okay, true, true, true. Oh, a lot of true. Okay, not sure, but taking over the world, but changing it forever. Yeah, yeah, that's a very well said answer. I think Tara. Okay, I'll just quickly move on to other question. Question number two would be AI works like human brain and can think for itself.
False.
False. Hmm. So AI cannot think for itself, and let's see what others have to say. False. Okay. Mhm. Okay. Great. Great. Thank you. So a lot of people answering false is just giving a sense that a lot of people do understand that AI does not exactly work like how human brain works, or it cannot make rational decision or think for itself. What we can call it in layman terms. And another question, third one: AI is a threat to my security and privacy. AI in daily life, in my daily applications, in my daily calls or messages, or in a daily work. If I'm using
True.
AI, is it a
True.
threat to
True.
my security and
True.
privacy? Hmm. Okay,
Absolutely
absolutely
true.
true. Okay, great. Hmm. Great, great. So some people do think it is false, and some people, most of them think it's true. Okay, one or two more questions to go ahead. Just AI will replace humans and their jobs. These are possible. Most heard questions all over the internet, and most famous things going around. In many cases, yes, great.
I think false.
I think false. Okay, thank you. Mhm. Okay, so AI will replace a lot of human jobs, and okay, great, great. True, great, false. Okay, it's a mixed batch of answers for this question. We'll have one last one also. AI is not good for students and to boost their learning. Is it not good? It has already replaced several jobs, and I think it's a thing to agree on. So the last question for this slide, and we'll quickly move ahead to the next one. AI is
I
not good
think it
for
would
students.
be. I think it's good to a certain extent, but it
Okay,
has to be used in a certain
appropriately.
way to help learning and not harm it. Harm.
Hmm. Okay, great, great. Yes, it could. Tara thinks that it could help learning, but if used very carefully for older kids and only for older kids, surely not for young kids. Okay, great. So right now, what I'll do is try to help you understand what AI is and give you a small experiment to do with AI so that we can understand what AI is and what machine learning is. And that would help us to understand maybe how ChatGPT works, give us a picture of how ChatGPT works. So AI can help us, do tasks which require human intelligence, and we can code the machine to perform tasks for us. Okay. And there are various lots of applications in daily life which we can, replace basic tasks which we have been doing over and over again with the help of artificial intelligence, because those tasks would require only a set level of intelligence, and that set level of intelligence can be programmed into the computer. And there are various components which we see. I think the first basic one which we need to understand is machine learning. That started the concepts of AI. We have natural language processing is what we see in every day as well. Like we have translators already available in our phones, help us to translate any languages. Also recognize our voice. Okay, so I think a few years back, uh, Intel and the companies who produce those processors, right, for your phones, even Snapdragon, and they started developing processors which had a special core for processing the voice input language which they use. So right now, whatever your smartphone has or whatever your laptop has, they have a special core which only processes the language or the input which you give it to them, and it also has a software which is customized for the area in which you are available. That is why these softwares are released in batches of countries. So some like we have Google Bard getting released only in US and UK first, and then it would be available to the entire world. This way, softwares are also available in batches throughout the world. We have deep learning, cognitive computing, neural network, and a lot of other things that AI can be used and AI can be seen exploring with. So this is what machine learning would look like. This is just a general example that let's have a voice input given to the machine. So there is, you can see this black box. Consider this black box as a machine. You don't know what is inside the machine, but the machine tells you. if you give a voice to the machine as an input, and it would tell you whose voice is that, or is that an animal? Which animal is it? It's a human. To understand things more ahead, let's do an experiment. The experiment is Google Teachable. Now,
Experiment that
you see,
lets you explore how machine learning works. You can teach the machine
is
using
the
a
audio?
camera and make it
Can you hear?
respond to you in fun ways. Okay, over here is your input. You should see yourself. Over here are 3 classes, green, purple, and orange. And over here is the output, where the machine responds. Right now it's set to respond with one of these 3 GIFs, but you can also make it respond with sounds or speech. Okay, so first we're going to teach it to respond with the cat GIF when you do something. So do something like put up your hand, kind of like this, and hold this green button for a couple seconds. This is an experiment that lets you explore how machine learning works.
Okay. So I had to turn off my Zoom video so that I can share my video here. So what we have to basically do, I think instructions were very clear. We have to do a gesture and do the 3 different gesture for 3 different colors. And based on your gesture, the output GIF will change. So we have this cat, and we have this dog, and we have this mouse. So we'll do 3 different gesture to call out each of them. And I'll start. So I'll first do this gesture and record around 200 to 300 samples roughly around. So this goes for green color for cat. Then I'll do another gesture, just bring myself more closer to the camera. Okay, so now if you see, if I'm only closer to the camera, you can only see the dog. But as soon as I do this, you should be able to see the cat GIF as well. Great. Let's try one more with the orange one, I think. I'll do a face palm and start recording it like this. Okay, so right now it's my face, so it's dog, face palm should be mouse, and the high should be this. So I can also train them to give me different sound each time. So this will play the birds sound. My face will play the guitar, and this is face palm. Okay.
Awesome.
It will also say whatever I would need it to say. So this is awesome, and this is face palm.
Everyone, are you able to do this on their laptop?
Awesome.
So people should be able to do this on their laptop as well as on their phones.
Awesome. Awesome.
Coming on to the subject of today, that is what is ChatGPT and how does it work and all. Okay, so ChatGPT is an AI-powered chatbot. We all know that it is using AI. So artificial intelligence, as we learned, that it is using a huge data set to give us answers and do things for us. And the data is fed by us, and there is a huge data set which it is using to get us the answer. So it would be using machine learning algorithms and different interpretation mechanisms to sort the answers for us, to get the answers for us, and also try to understand what kind of questions we are trying to ask. Okay, so every question which every one of would ask would come from a different sort of a speaking language or a manner of asking the question, that is interpreting human language. So ChatGPT as an AI also understands that part, and it tries to get the best answer for us. Okay, and why the name ChatGPT? So it is Chat Generative Pre-trained Transformer. So the word pre-trained is what we should understand, that it is already trained with some data, and using that set of data we can get the answers from it, and it generates answer from us from that set of data. So this is what the ChatGPT page would look like, the chat page, and it itself shows some examples, capabilities, and limitations for us. So we can ask it simple questions, we can ask complex question, whatever type of questions which we want answers for, or which task which. But let's explore the content and capabilities and limitations and understand how it works, and then we can show a working demo of how it works actually. So we can add the examples they have listed here is give me 10 ideas for give me ideas for a 10-year-old birthday party, or give me some code for JavaScript, or if you're working in code sector or in a daily life also, if you need some ideas, then it would help you with that. Capabilities is remembering what user said in the earlier conversation. That's the most important feature, because ChatGPT has chat features in which it remembers whatever conversation you will have, and not only for that day, for any amount of days you can maintain that chat, and it will remember and it will give you answers based on your previous questions as well. So it will take up those feedbacks and take up those questions and customize your answers accordingly. So more and more conversations you have it with ChatGPT, you will learn. The more it learns, and the more accurate the answer.
So, Nishant, a couple of people have responded in the chat saying that they've used it to draft email.
Yes.
Meera saying just to explore what ChatGPT really does. So I think honestly, there's so much stuff that you can use it for. I think
Yes.
From even just asking like if I want to go on a holiday, where should I stay? Or if I want to buy some kind of shoes, then what do you think would work well if I have small size shoes, anything like that. Basically, any question that you have and you want to get a better answer to it, you can prompt it even further. So basically, in terms of suppose you want to ask about writing an essay, then you can tell them like act like a copywriter, act like someone who's an expert in writing to make it even better. And then sometimes you can also
and one limitation in the end is that it has limited knowledge of world and events after 2021 is what we should also keep in mind. That the training model, I already told you earlier that there was this training model being fed to ChatGPT to gather data from, and that entire model was stopped training after 2021. So until only 2021 the training happened, and after 2021 the whatever data is being fed is from the learning experiences only. No special data is fed from 2021 and afterwards. So going ahead, what are the prompts which we can use? So these are the keywords which we can use to compose, draft, or write or explain something, find something, generate something, and suggest something. So you want to compose an email. I think someone in the chat said that I use it for writing an email. Use it to draft an email. You want to rewrite any phrase, whichever you want to use. You can ask it to rewrite. And the best part about it is that once it gives you the answer, you can, if you don't like the rewriting or if you don't like the paraphrasing, then you can ask it to redo it again for you, and as many number of times, and it will always come up with a new answer and a new way of suggesting things. It can explain you concepts, not only to you, it can explain you concepts which you want to teach it to someone or you want to share it with someone. So you can also mention to the audience for which you want to explain. So say I want to explain how some technology works to a layman person, so it will answer in the best and the simplest way possible. It will help you find stuff.
Here, maybe I had a small suggestion. Can we try it with people who've never used ChatGPT? Can we do it live, maybe for a quick 2 minutes, just to give them an understanding of how it works?
How can I
and we can, make crazy wishes like, what do we want?
What is the right amount of protein I should eat daily? Okay.
Good question.
Okay, here is your answer. Oh, what is the meaning of life? Can you ask ChatGPT how much stock market will perform this year? No, it's based on random stuff. So there is no algorithm to predict stock market.
And I think the major reason is that the data that it has fed is still 2021, and based on that, it gives answers.
I'll ask this question. Let's see how it works.
So what's your question?
So it says that how does stock market perform this year? So as I said earlier, it's a language model. It cannot predict future. Where should I go for a great meal in New York? So there are some questions which can be easily answered, or there are some questions where it would limit the capabilities of ChatGPT as well.
And what one can do is also ask more detailed questions. So for example, if you want to ask in terms of two stocks, I mean, they might not have the right answer, but for example, if you want a comparison in terms of, two stocks, I don't know who's 001, but if you have any two stocks that you want to ask about, then you can probably ask that as well. And then maybe, Fram, you can say like, where do I want to go for a great meal in New York? You can be like, I'm looking at this area, or I'm looking at, just vegan restaurants, or I'm looking at more detailed. And then maybe you can even add stuff like, I want something really spicy, so give me something like that. So you can, once you get an answer, you can ask it to elaborate more and more on that.
Yes. Correct. So the questions which we can ask are always limitless, and but then the type of the answers which we get from ChatGPT would always be a subject to fact checking, that whether it's a correct thing or not. And based on what type of data is already been fed to ChatGPT, it would be a correct answer. But then the questions which we would ask, which would test its abilities, there it would fail sometimes as well. So that can also be a problem.
But I think the most interesting feature of ChatGPT is that you can actually chat with it. I mean, you can tell it, hey, no, you know what, make it bullet pointed, or make it concise, or elaborate, and it keeps doing that.
So also, like say if someone wants to start a business and they want to create a website on their own, so you can also ask them that, can you help me create my own website? And even though you are not a programmer or you have never done programming on your own, it can help you to
create a website.
So the questions are, how about a question that kids would like to ask? I think many of us would want to know it's going to affect their learning and beliefs. Yeah. So I have those things getting covered as well. So I will share that. So see, it gives you the step of how to create an entire website as well, and you can just go on and start creating this website. So capabilities are limitless. Let me go ahead and share some slides that would answer the questions of which people have been posting. So these are some sample prompts, as we said. I also wanted to share one of the prompts with you. So if you try all these words, compose a 500 word short story based on climate change, or what is the word count in your story. So it will also maintain the count for you. You can create a travel itinerary and for a 3-day trip or whatever. So you can directly, give the exact question. You can pinpoint things to the questions, and it will give you an answer based on that. So I want to start making website is what I tried. And this is one question which I think I should try and show it to you. So this question, that I am a computer science student and I need an LOR of 300 words, which my professor can sign for me. Can you write it for me? Okay. So I want to do it live for everyone so that people can see that it does have some filters assigned to it. So it will refuse your request like that. However, I would review that, it accurately reflects as a sample letter. So it is not going to give you what you exactly want, but it's a sample letter which you can write like that. So it's a reference material which it gives. Okay. So where is ChatGPT getting data from? It's getting data from the entire internet. So all of your websites which you see on the internet, all your queries which you see, all your posts which you do on all the social media. We have Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatnot, LinkedIn, and every post which people make is a data feed for ChatGPT. Okay, so it has access to all the platforms and all the things which you can see. So anything which you see on any other social media, anything which you see on the internet, anything which you see on any website, it has an access to that. Because if we can see it, ChatGPT can also see it. If we can visit this any website, new website today, ChatGPT can also access that website or access that data like that. So Google also adequately answers how can I create it. How does ChatGPT do it better? So ChatGPT does it better in the form of it can give you the code as well. So when you are, let's say, if I can go back to this question and pick up one of the step, and I can ask that can you help me choose a platform? It will choose a platform for you. It will suggest a platform. Can you choose a domain name for me? It will suggest domain name for you. For Google, what happens is it will suggest you links, and those links you have to explore, and then you have to predict an answer out of that. So you have to figure out the entire link and the website, and then predict an answer out of that. However, what ChatGPT does is gives you the exact answer. So once you're saying that I want to design a website, so it will give you the exact code which should be written to design a website like that. So in terms with Google, how is it different than Google? So obviously Google will give you the links to explore the answers, but ChatGPT will directly give you the answers. Okay, so that's it. Then there are these keywords which we have analyzed earlier. We can ask it to write, we can ask it to explain, ideate, find, and analyze things. Okay. Also, just to understand how powerful ChatGPT is, these are some of the there are some exams which ChatGPT has cleared and scored best rankings across the world. So this is the ChatGPT OpenAI research page, and it is showing us the capabilities and the exams which it has cleared. We'll share this link with you for you to understand. So the uniform bar exam scoring almost on 90th, like that. LSAT scoring 83rd rank, stat math, and these are the best tough exams which students struggle for. ChatGPT is doing a lot good in these exams. Okay, so it has a lot of data, even on Lead Code, which is a coding platform for programmers to understand how much they can code and what is the best capability they can have. There also it is performing really very good. So this is just to understand that it has a lot of data and it can certainly give answers a lot of time.
So I think has an interesting question. She is asking if it can be bought. If I pay ChatGPT or OpenAI, would it give my answers to the people who are seeking answers?
No, it cannot. Like it will not give. It cannot give a promoted answer. Is what you are trying to ask. So how you can promote posts on Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn? You can promote your content, but your ChatGPT cannot promote content or give a change whatever is already there. So in a way, if the data already exists somewhere on the internet, saying that this happened in history or this is what happening in politics, and if it's already existing somewhere written by someone, then it would change things ahead, and that is obviously dangerous thing for anyone to understand, like anyone to use. So yeah, it's a true fact that data can be modified if enough amount of information is given. So ChatGPT will require enough amount of confidence score, right? So if you notice while doing that experiment, we were getting some percentage of the confidence ratio, right? So whatever ChatGPT is giving you is having some confidence ratio, and then it will answer your questions. So even if there is one document which is speaking otherwise, is what you're trying to say. And then come to same conclusion by asking the same questions. So it will go with the most fed data. So it will have a huge data set, right? And it will have different views as well. It will show you all the views. It will not bias or it will not take up a particular view. It will show you all the data which it has, and then you can pick up and choose answers from that if you are looking for certain things. Okay, so how do you introduce ChatGPT to kids, and if at all required? Like if you want to introduce ChatGPT to kids and see how they can work with ChatGPT. So for learning a new language, ChatGPT works very well. For helping with the schoolwork, like should you allow your kids to help with the schoolwork as well? So obviously not for younger kids, as we had a discussion earlier, but definitely if it is monitored with the help of a parent, then it would certainly be a good tool for kids to learn and understand new things. It can help us to play simple games like crosswords, or suggest a word, jumble questions, and text-based games. I think ChatGPT would be really helpful in that. So the content which we would want to explore with ChatGPT should always be monitored with the help of kids. And there are some safety tips which we would suggest. While using ChatGPT. Avoid sharing personal information. There should be set rules against sarcastic content. So there is also a rule about setting a sarcastic content because if you are dealing with kids and the kids are using it, then sometimes the answer can be sarcastic, right? So yeah, as an adult, we would understand, oh, that it's giving a sarcastic answer in our conversation, but then kids who might take it for real, and it won't be good. So there can be examples where some sarcastic content is not good, not mentally okay, and then it would be a wrong thing to do. So these are safety tips. You can activate kids mode. So obviously, when you are sharing it with your kids, you can instruct ChatGPT that I will be, filter your content according to a kid of a 2-year-old or a 3-year-old, and that will activate a kids mode, and it will filter it answers and filter the responses according to that.
But I think one interesting point Miss Tara just mentioned was for educational purposes, would it be pointless? So, my thought here is that, see, everything that ChatGPT is picking up is from the internet, which means that if there is wrong information on the internet, which is on Google, it is going to pick it up. But the better thing here is that it's going to have a confidence score, which means hundreds of articles should say the same thing. That's when ChatGPT will share it with the kid or with someone. However, on Google, it's the other way. So the fear is more with Google, is what I feel, because Google has paid promotions. So the top link that you see is a paid promotion, and that is the only link that the child might probably read. And it might be a totally
based on intuition. Intuition, you will go with the first link, and
it would
if
be
it's
a promotion.
The paid link, then it's a problem.
However, at least with ChatGPT, the fact is that it's going to go through and everything on the internet and say what's being very confident about.
Spoken everywhere or used everywhere or written everywhere, that kind of data will only be filtered for us and then given to us. There's one question about how does one set a rule about against sarcastic content. So whenever you are active, like using it with your kids, you can simply give it a prompt that your answers, limit your answers in a way that they are not sarcastic to hear, and be more straightforward towards the answer. So you can set a filter on the answers this way. You can give a text prompt to answer the way you want. Okay.
And Payal also mentioned about, she read an article about a man committing suicide, chatting with ChatGPT, basically having a relationship with ChatGPT. So I think that is something, Payal, one of the dangers of this is using ChatGPT like a therapist. I mean, it's not a human, it's not somebody that one can use as a therapist, which some people are doing that. So I think that's one of the perils of ChatGPT, which people are slowly understanding. And clearly, this is one of the examples of that happening. So definitely, you can ask questions, and people are using ChatGPT in a way that you can ask, like, I'm feeling down today. What should I do to I'm talking about their lives, but it's not equivalent to a human interaction or to a therapist or a confidant or a person. So that's where one has to be really vigilant about this kind of stuff.
Correct. So this is what we have come across, that ChatGPT will remain unpredictable and widespread. So since it's already a widespread thing, it will always remain unpredictable of what kind of capabilities it will have. AI sure will remain ubiquitous, as in their applications and things which it can be used for will always keep on changing and upgrading. So we will also have to stay updated with it so that we can use it wherever required. And also tutoring will be excellent, obviously, if it is used as a great tool. So it is not going to replace teachers. It is not going to replace classrooms, but it will be a great tool for everyone, students, teachers, if they use it in a proper way and if learning can be made out of it. So learning can happen out of ChatGPT, but it has to be used in a proper mode like that. Okay, so these are the things. AI tutoring will be excellent, but cannot replace. So then also there is this idea where I just want to end our conversation with this one note that all the questions which we have had, just try to recollect of all the questions which we have had in this chat today or which we have had in our mind related to AI. Uh, and also try to think about the time when calculators were introduced. Maybe we were not there when the calculators were introduced early on, but then there was a time which we know about that when the calculators were introduced and what happened to the world when the world saw calculators being used inside a classroom or in daily offices for the first time, and what was its impact on how students were affected back then and how teachers were affected back then. What we also see is that the questions that were asked in that time are also similar to the questions that are being asked today. That will it replace human jobs, or is it good for students to understand entire math of a school will crumble if there is something you can calculate, and if everything on its own, kids will just start using it and they will not learn mathematics is what was predicted. Many schools started rejecting it. Is the same thing which is happening right now with AI. So some schools have also stopped students from using ChatGPT or AI related stuff, chatbots, so that it doesn't affect them in a wrong way. And to some extent, it is good enough, but it is also stopping them from accessing a lot of other stuff. But what we have seen about calculators is also true. That the same thing also happened with calculators. But is math dead right now? Are we not studying maths right now? Or like what happened? So how did it change? So there was a fundamental transformation of how math was taught, and then like around 60s, 70s and 80s is what the era I'm talking about. But then by the time it was late 80s and 90s is where curriculums itself had calculators inside it, so they had to use a calculator to perform certain operations, and that was a part of the curriculum. That is how a fundamental transformation is introduced into a world. So maybe this is what we can say that about for ChatGPT is that um, we can definitely survive such changes because we are the most adaptable to change is what we have to understand from this. So even now, whatever information we have shared today will only be true, maybe only till true this week, or it might not be true next week as well, because ChatGPT might evolve some other day, some next month, and it will give some more capabilities. We have this ChatGPT 4 model, which can share images with you and like talk with you in terms of images as well. You can edit images with it, and it can give you responses in terms of images. So it will have a lot of more capabilities.
Nishant, one of Payal's questions, like how do we make sure that our children are protected against this and make sure that they know that ChatGPT
is there any way to control this kind of conversations?
Sort of outcomes if you use it in a
So see, first thing is that I have been interacting with a lot of parents and students who have been using ChatGPT or giving access to internet to kids at across various ages. So monitoring of parents is the first thing which is required. And whenever you are allowing it to have a conversation with your kid, then make sure you have that filter on by giving it a prompt that we will be using filter for this many years of age, and the responses would definitely be filtered in that form. So all the content which has to be filtered out for family safe mode will always be on in that terms of cases.
And I think we as parents have to tell our kids that this is ChatGPT is something that we can just use as a means of helping us make things a little easier, making our lives a little easier, but it's not something that we should be using on a regular.
So we have also learned that schools are
a little way that how Google does.
Yeah. So we also learned that some schools are getting afraid of students using ChatGPT to write the answers, right? Okay, they're writing essays and writing letters is what we also know. But then should it make the schools afraid or not, or should schools stop using students from ChatGPT, or should students stop not using it like that? So my answer to this situation would be that it's a great tool if it is used correctly and monitored in a way. So as a parent, I think someone really posted like the right way that educating parent is the best way to survive in this era, and keeping yourself aware of how things would adapt and how could you adapt to the situation is the best thing to learn about ChatGPT and AI. So applications will always be endless and it will always be seamless, but we have to stay updated and we have to adapt ourselves about this.
Yeah, even I thought that I was thinking that is it really possible to not have students trying it? I mean, students have not trying. It's not possible.
I don't
Students
think
are going to try it.
Yeah.
Whether you restrict them, you don't have a computer in school, whatever, they are going to use it.
Yeah,
so the only way is for us to learn how it works and maneuver and ensure that our children use it the right way. I think that's the solution.
Yes, and definitely we have been seeing a lot of changes in all these years in the technologies going through our lives. and definitely this will come as one of the technology, and I think humans will we as humans will definitely adapt this into our lifestyle and see how it can be monitored, and that can be done, and it will come into one of our
FYI, parents, some of our kids are already using ChatGPT. So just in case y'all don't know, just ask kids if they are using it, because I think a lot of them are using it.